Hey guys, it's TheFrXion here, Titan12. However you call me, I don't really care, and welcome back to World Tanks. Now, this does look like a French vehicle, right? Okay, it looks like a really cool tank. Today we're going to be playing the AMX-30. Now, this is the prototype, this is the tier 9, we're not going to be playing the 30B, which I have already unlocked, but yeah, I have the money, but I still do not have the wish for unlocking right now, before they're actually going to be buffing this thing. It is going to get buffed, and it's going to be quite interesting to see what we'll get eventually with the AMX-30B. Now, back in the days, before they released the AMX-30 series, there were only one, or at least only one medium tank branch, and that was the Batchat 1225T and the Lorraine 40T, but that is a premium since then, and the Batchat 25T AP. Now, I've never really played the Batchat 25T AP. Never had the kind of the wish to play that, and I don't even have all the I think modules for this vehicle because I just skipped it when I got the Lorraine 40T, because the Lorraine 40T back then was a very, very bad tank. Probably will go down that road once again some other day, but right now we're going to be focusing on the AMX-30 series. Now, this vehicle, or this branch of the French medium tanks, has been out for quite a while now. I think they came out somewhere 2014, and they were like the French equivalent for the German Leopard series, right? Because the Germans had the Leopard, they had the E50M, and I think the people were very excited that the French were getting a vehicle that was very similar to the Leopard. Now, in the last couple of years, or yeah, in the last years, this vehicle hasn't been the most sought after. Same goes for the Leopard prototype A. I do have 3 marks on that vehicle, but a lot of people didn't like it. Well, for obvious reasons. It was a vehicle with a very restricted kind of DPM. It has a very good gun, a tier 10 gun at tier 9, but it didn't have a lot of other attributes that would really satisfy your needs for a medium tank, especially in close quarter engagements. You were going to have a very hard time with the Leopard prototype A because the armor was just so bad. Now, when they released the AMX series, the one thing that the French did a bit better than the Germans was basically the armor value that the vehicle had. Now, if we take a look at the armor that we have in this tank, you can see the hull armor at 80 millimeters at the front is still a lot better, I think, than the... I'm not sure, but it's definitely less than... actually, it's just 10 millimeters more than the prototype, but it has a much, much better turret than the prototype has. And that's going to be a very interesting fact, because this vehicle was never meant to be a close quarter kind of vehicle. It was never meant to be, you know, this bully that the Object 430U is, or the Object 430 even at tier 9 is. But it was always meant to be more on the mid to long range engagements, and it has a very, very decent gun. It has a tier 10 105 millimeter MLEF1 gun, which is I think the same as on the AMX-30B, and it has 248 millimeters of pen. Now, unfortunately, it does not have the same amount of pen as the Leopard has, which is 268 millimeters of pen with the standard APCR shells, and it only has, now only, this is, keep that in mind, this is still 300 millimeters of pen with heat, but out of all the different heat shells, 300 millimeters of penetration is certainly not the most efficient, not the best or most competitive shell out on the market. But still, it was a rather nice vehicle. It combined the very good gun with a very, very good mobility together. And added to the fact that it had a little bit more turret armor, you were sometimes lucky enough to bounce certain rounds off the vehicle. Now, that made it a very nice addition to the game, because it was meant to be played just like the Leopard and, you know, other very lightly armored medium tanks. but just with a little bit more added bonus. Unfortunately, it does have a very big weak spot on top, which is the Commander's Hatch, the cupola. Same goes for the AMX 30B. On the tier 10, it is even worse. If we look at the vehicle, it's even larger, and it gives you the 360 degrees full circle view range that you can just basically look at every part. And this is very important, for driving a vehicle such as this. You have no idea how difficult it is to drive a tank in real life because you have such limited, visibility. With the modern vehicles, you at least have cameras, and it's a lot easier to look what's going on around you. But back in the days, with the viewports that you had with the slits right there, it's basically all you saw as a driver. So you had to be reliant on your commander on top, who was looking around. And still, I was never a tank driver, and I'm not a tank driver in the military, but I've seen my guys, when they're driving around, they were sitting outside of the vehicle, having the hatches open and all that stuff. But I don't want to talk too much about this tank. I want to play some games. Now, I have really enjoyed the Leopard Prototype A, so when I started grinding this line, when I started playing my my AMX batch at 12T, the light tank again, to get this vehicle, I was really excited for it. And when I first picked it up, it was a horrible piece of trash. This is one of the vehicles that you don't want to play in a stock variant. Its turret is very, very bad. Its gun is decent. It's the same gun as a lot of other French high tier heavy tanks and medium tanks do have. It's a 100mm gun as well, but it just doesn't have the same characteristics and statistics to be able to utilize the same positions as you would with the Top Gun, because it just takes a lot of time to aim. It just doesn't really work out most of the time, and it's just something that needed an upgrade, and it was the reason why you wanted to get the Top Gun that the tier 10 version also has. Now, we're in a top tier matchup right here, and this is a game that is perfect for this vehicle. We have a lot of hills, nooks, and crannies. There's only one artillery piece. They have a couple of medium tanks that can be a bit of a threat if you want to go toe-to-toe and medium distances to maybe close quarter combat. You're going to be picking the smallest straw most of the time, but you can still make it work, and I think this is really cool. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be playing the AMX 30 as an attacking offensive medium vehicle. We're going to utilize its top speed of over 65 kilometers per hour, I think, and we're going to get to the A7 area where we can get some early shots off at the enemy medium tanks. If we get some support, this is where this vehicle does do the very best. You can do some serious damage. If you have the support like the T54 and the T20, and we can look into the area where we trade some shots in between ourselves, and maybe we don't lose too much of our HP at the very start of the battle, we can actually do a lot of damage with this vehicle. So we have the 54 and the T20 over here, which is very nice to see that we have some medium tanks that are also interested in actually engaging this part of the map. I'm most certain that there's the M46 Baton Korea. We do have enough penetration to go through his turret armor, but unfortunately right there we do 0 damage to him. But it's a critical hit, so we probably managed oh, excuse me, to hit his gun and knock that out. But at the same time, you have to keep in mind, depend on the M46 Baton Korea is good enough to actually deal damage to us, and now we have a bit of a problem. Our T54 decided to play aggressively right here, and he didn't really take into account that there is going to be support coming in. for basically, yeah, the enemy Leo over there. Yeah, this is going to be a very awkward matchup right now. There's the P-43 Terror. He's going to wait to get a shot at us, and this is exactly what I meant with, you know, having at least enough turret armor to withstand some tier 7 shells. You know, that's something that the Leopard Prototype 8 doesn't have, and he is firing AP. If he would have fired APCR, yeah, we wouldn't have been able to actually bounce those shells most of the time. I think it's something along the lines of 190 millimeters of penetration, which is just enough to actually do quite a bit of damage to us. So we have an object for 30 here, and what is very important is that we keep this guy in place. Unfortunately, he doesn't manage to get out of here, because we have to stay clear out of a 2 frontline situation. And this is exactly where you have to be very careful with this vehicle. This is where you either break out or you push one side. And since we are very indecisive at the moment, you can see right here, we need the support of our guys from the back to actually hit these guys here. So I'm going to decide to actually run away, because that's something you just have to do from time to time with a vehicle such as this. We do manage to evade. Now we just have to be careful that the object 430 doesn't get another hit off. Oh, and he actually manages to get us. But yeah, you saw exactly what you wanted to avoid in a vehicle such as this. Basically, what ended up happening was we piled our tanks over here, and we were hoping that we had some support from the back line of defense. Now, the guys over here obviously only have a very limited range where they can actually engage these guys effectively. But the problem was just that the T-54 decided to throw his life away by pushing the guys that were waiting over there all by himself. He was too arrogant. That was a very naive move, very arrogant move to go around the corner. And we were just trying to hold the corner right there. And what ended up happening was we either had to push the object for 30 and the Leo, which would have been the better decision. If we would have done that, the enemy tanks would have calmed down eventually, obviously, because they had the numerical superiority over us. And, you know, they had higher tiers than us. But at the same time, if they actually would have moved down, they were targets for our guys in the back. Now, I thought that my team was going to support me pushing these guys. And I knew that as soon as they were breaching at the same time as they were pushing over here, I knew it was over for us. So I decided to run away. Because this vehicle doesn't have any armor to hold up, right? The rate of fire isn't great enough to engage several targets at the same time. So I decided to run. And I almost got away, except for that the object for 30 at tier 9 is just massively overpowered and has a very high rate of fire, coupled with a very, very high DPM, or at least high alpha. And we weren't able to get away. He was very lucky there with that shot. I don't know how he managed to penetrate us when we were already here. Like, okay, we exploded here, he was over there, so there was a bit of a line of sight. But the thing is that the guys over there did unfortunately not see that we had to push either sides. I did ping it, and I just didn't have the time to write it out in a full sentence. And this is just something that you have to understand in this game, and it's just very difficult with players who maybe are new to the game, who maybe just don't have as much tactical or knowledge. I probably could have played it better as well, but yeah, unfortunately we did lose that flank. And we weren't able to break through. We had to break through. If you don't break through, you're just going to get squashed in the middle. And that was the problem. if we managed to break through one part, we would have had the support on the back. We would have been able to turn around the corner over there, and they would have had to retreat or fall down, which gave us the opportunity to actually go around the corner. I think this is a very good game to actually talk about map tactics as in the sense of this map, because if you're being honest with yourself, this map does allow several plays, a lot of mobility, and it gives you quite a bit of cover with the sand dunes, with the towns that they have strewn around, with the valley in the middle, and I think, you know, we could have played it a lot better. We should have played it a lot better, but you know, it happens. Yeah, it's just kind of an analytical view on how you have to kind of play right there. I think as soon as the T-54 kind of decided to dash into his death, we were on the wrong side right there. It kind of was the decisive point where we actually already lost our advantage that we had, because the other side manages to get into these positions where it can use very defensive places, and it can use actually little hills to cover their lower hull or their hull behind, while your team actually doesn't get a lot of cover, just that one very narrow passageway where you cannot do a lot of things. So yeah, it was a kind of a bad loss in my opinion. Could have been easily avoided, but yeah, that's just how this game works from time to time. And we just ended up on the wrong team, on the wrong side of the map as well, because the other side of the map is actually a lot better for the push on the north. So that was quite a lot of rambling. I know that was very theoretical and stuff, but I think it's very important to kind of have a bit of the map knowledge. Map knowledge is about 60% of the victory. You know, hitting the tanks and, you know, knowing the weak spots. That's a very, very small amount of knowledge that you need to have compared to the maps, and where you need to be positioned and to know when to disengage or maybe engage. It's very difficult. It's very different for every single tank type. A medium tank needs to have, you know, a different mindset than a light tank driver, and a tank destroyer driver obviously is going to be a complete different story from a light tank or a heavy tank driver. But yeah, that's I think the very interesting part of this game, that basically every vehicle drives very differently from the other previous tank. It has some slight changes from time to time maybe, but it's always something else. It's always something different. So we're going to drive into this position right here because we're playing on El Halouf. El Halouf promotes, or, you know, El Halouf basically El Halouf, I don't know, I just forgot the words to it. El Halouf gifts the aggressive players the best positions. Exactly. So we're playing this place right here where we can actually engage the heavy tanks if they decide to run over to the other side, and the object 268 on the enemy team is actually going to be 268 is going to be knocked out right there. There's a RU. He's looking for a shot, and I'm not willing to actually turn a corner because that is going to happen. And there's a standard B now. Very aggressive in that place. We have 8 degrees of gun depression, which, especially compared to this guy, the UDAS 16 is absolutely nothing anymore. And this UDAS 16 just, he needs to chill. He has lost basically all his HP because he was just playing way too aggressively right there. And now we are in a situation where we have a very uncomfortable position right here, which we actually shouldn't lose that easily, that quickly. I do have enough gun depression to still, you know, engage these Chinese and Soviet mediums and light tanks, but not the standard B. If the standard B does get into a good position, he will be able to put some shells into me. So we are kind of hoping for the support of the 57 in the back and the yacht Tiger. So, okay. There's the standard B. Do not go up there. Don't do it. Don't do it, object. Okay. He did it and he got away with it. We have to take out this WZ. This WZ is a bit of an issue right here. You know, as long as we hold this line right here and we have the support of the T-57 and we don't fall back too far, we should be actually doing fine. Because we're, yeah, you know, for them to get down here, engage us, they just have to push in with numbers to overwhelm us. But you know, 1 or 2 vehicles we can engage quite easily, and they're just wasting a lot of time up there. We do have the armor on the other side, so it's basically now just a stalemate. I'm going to be loading a heat shell because I know that the IS-4 will lose his patience eventually, and now we have knowledge that there are 2-3 tanks out in the open behind us. And it looks like it's going to be reinforcements coming in for these guys over here. So right here, this is the moment where you have, okay, he's firing high explosive and he just whacked us with high explosive, and I did not expect that. I actually wanted to say, yeah, that's the moment where you need to, you know, pick your chances and see where you can actually do something with it. And the VK didn't do us any favors right there with actually pushing up there, because he just gave them now a piece of cover that we cannot destroy. And he died very, very stupidly as well. So we are in a very awkward situation, fighting a IS-4, having to deal with having to deal with a EBR. Our 57 just decides to suicide right there, and he actually managed to penetrate us with heat. We bounced the Chinese light tank, and we have to take out the EBR. If the EBR stays alive right there, he's just going to eat me alive in a second. Can engage the IS-4. I now actually have the upper hand here if I have to. If I actually have to take out this guy. Oh god. And he fires high explosive, and he actually doesn't manage to penetrate us. Okay, now this is a very awkward situation for us, but the mouse has been doing some serious work right there with some help of the STRV. We are very low HP. We're a one-shot for them. The IS-4 decided to load high explosive instead of AP with AP shell. He would have dealt with us without a problem, and we're about to die because the EBR moves in, and yeah, he manages to avoid everything. So, this EBR actually crashed. Very interesting. EBR just basically suicided with that move. The mouse is still on quite a bit of HP. Oh, the EBR actually crashed right into the standard B. That's why he died. Because the standard B was in his way and he crashed into him with like 50 HP and with maybe 60 kilometers per hour, and he just died. Wow, what a game. This game has it all. We had a suiciding T-57 who actually just wanted to roll down this cliff to actually get the EBR. but he missed the spot. He just jumped down into his own death. You know, he lost about 1,700 HP with one move. We have a mouse who's basically man of the match because he just held the entire corner all by himself for quite a while. And yeah, we have artillery who have been doing a decent amount of work in the back to deal with the guys coming up around that the hall. And you can see holding that spot right there gave us a distinctive advantage against the enemy team. They basically, most of the guys who died, most of the enemy team died right there where we actually held the corner, and that had to do with they didn't, you know, push through us, which is kind of weird because I would have thought that they would actually just man up and push with about 3-4 tanks and go right through us, but instead of doing that, they waited around there and waited for something to happen, and we dealt with them one by one, which was in retrospect. How do you flip your tank? And over there. This game is really weird. This is a very awkward game because I've never seen something like this, where this Yak Tiger just doesn't go around the other side. He wants to go around the right side. Because the Waffenträger is not going to expect it from the right side. He's maybe going to expect it from the left side. But from the right side, I don't think so. So, yeah, he gets spotted. The Yak Tiger can eat, like, I don't know, 5 shells. Please repair your tracks. He takes him out. Nice one. And now the only target we have remaining is the M53-55. So, what is he going to do? There's the M53-55. He's running. Oh, he missed. Second already doesn't miss. Like he was way closer either way. Yeah, what a match. I think, yeah, we did 2,948 damage. We could have had more, but there was quite a bit of ups and downs in that battle. We managed to not get penetrated by IS-4 with high explosive, but then we got penetrated in the rear by another guy from the EBR 105, but we still managed to hold that spot. It was very important because this WZ-132 was being very, very aggressive, very pushy in that place. He wanted to really get through us, and you know, by playing with patience, by, you know, staying in position with the help of our Object 263, we managed to actually hold them back, and with artillery as well. I think that was a very good game. It shows you the very character of, you know, map placement or right placement for the vehicle, and it shows you the capabilities of this vehicle with the gun depression at least 8 degrees. It's not the best, but it's not the worst either. The mobility really shows you. We were there at the spot very quickly. We managed to get 2 shots off at the Emil 2 and the Object 268, but at the end then we still got pushed by several vehicles when we were holding that spot, and the turret armor did actually do quite well against the standard B. That obviously would not have been the case against if you would have driven the Leopard prototype A, that would have not been the case because obviously it doesn't have the same protection that this vehicle has with its turret. So I hope you guys did enjoy. As always, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. I hope you like the AMX-30. Yeah, what are your thoughts on this vehicle? Do you like it? Do you hate it? I love this tank, and I'm really buzzing to go forward to the AMX-30. Up until then, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.